All right, guys, well, hello, welcome back to the channel. This week's video is gonna be kind of fun. As you guys saw in last week's video, we got the sunroof panel, or delete panel, mocked up, bolted in, and ready to go. That being said, now we got to make sure that the color is matching the car. That's why I have it taped off right now. We gotta do some prep, and then we're gonna be painting it, get it matching, and then either, I don't want to put like window sealant in the cracks right after it's painted, but I do want to get it painted before Slush Fest, just so that way the car is all one color and it looks good. So what we're going to be doing tonight, this is going to be a multi-day process, is just sanding, getting the gel coat to a point where it has, what do you call it, toothing, a surface that paint can bond to. Once that's done tomorrow, when it's daylight out and at peak heat of the day, we'll go ahead and lay primer down, and then the next day we're going to go ahead and sand it, get the primer coat ready for base, and then we'll end up basing and clearing probably the next day. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do it over the weekend. I had some things that I needed to attend to in real life, so we're gonna be doing multiple days of paint work this week when I'm on my lunch break or like shortly after work. It is colder right now. I think our highs that we're getting out here in Arizona are something around 70 degrees. So we're kind of cutting it close with the temperature that paint actually will work at. So I got to be kind of careful and selective on when I do decide to spray primer or base or clear, but let's just go ahead and jump into it. I have the roof taped off just so we don't sand in any of the paint around the sides. We're just gonna be scuffing the top for now. When I pull the sunroof out to get ready to primer it, I'm gonna go ahead and go around the lower edges of the top as well, just to make sure that we create a good bond where the window sealant's going to be. That way paint doesn't end up peeling up off of the edge and back onto it and then forcing me to have to pull it out again and redo. I just don't want to do all of it. But right now, it is in the car. It's mounted solid. I figure it's just as good a spot as any to start sanding it, and then we'll get to the edges and everything afterwards. So what we need to do is take a little bit of the shine off. So I'm gonna get a light out here. That way I can see how much shine there is, and we'll use the gel coats sheen and basically use that as like a guide coat and get it down to where it's matte finish, which should help us know what's been sanded yet and what's not. So let's jump in and start getting dirty. we're done sanding, show you guys where I'm at. So I hit it with 400 grit dry. Still a little bit of sheen that I'd like to take off of it, so I'm probably gonna hit it a couple more times between now and primer. But I got some things I gotta attend to, so I'm gonna jump back onto that off camera. But essentially, just gotta take the rest of the sheen off. So it's just gonna be quite a bit more back and forth. Making sure to do a nice crosshatch, so that way it stays even. And I will jump back in tomorrow when we start laying down primer. So that way we can hopefully get this done this week. It's definitely gonna need some wet sanding. It's not perfect. It's windy outside, but I think I got enough coats of primer on there to hold and be able to wet sand to get it smooth so we can lay some base coat later this weekend. So I'm gonna cut the video here. I'll check back in tomorrow when it's dry and cured, so that way we can actually start looking at what we need to do to get this thing base coated and cleared. All right, well, we're back. It's the next day. Sunroof looks covered. It's just kind of splotchy and rough, so I'm gonna have to do some wet sanding and make sure I don't need any more primer before we get things done. So honestly, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit it with a super light guide coat and then wet sand it until it's smooth. In other news, Nisha got something new. She went and got herself a Q5. She was tired of dealing with a Honda CR-V. We loved it. It's just time for something a little bit nicer and a bit of an upgrade. So we went and got a 2016 Q5. We got a really good deal on it, and she's already got some plans and ideas with what she wants to do with that. But we're not making a video on Audis. We're making a video on wet sanding right now. We're gonna get the sunroof started, so I'm gonna be starting now, I guess. Let's sand. All right, well, I forgot to film me wet sanding, but I mean, you guys have seen it last time I did the over fender videos. Kind of thought about it. Not a big reason to get back into that, but I'm just wet sanding with 600 grit wet, and so far I think it's coming out pretty damn good. It's all smooth. I'll show you guys what we're at. So not too shabby. I'm not gonna paint it today because we're gonna be losing heat. So I'll probably have to paint it tomorrow and then also figure out what else this weekend. I'm backed up on videos. I was late one week and it's just kind of snowballing. So I've been trying to figure out what all I can fit in one weekend. But as of right now, this is the big project. So that way we can get the tape off the roof of the drift car and have this paint matched, if not completely sealed in by Slushfest next weekend. So it's kind of a big ask and hope, but I am really hoping to get that done. I'm only wet sanding the top of the sunroof just because in this area, you're never gonna see that. It's gonna be on the underside of the roof, but the top of the block off plate. So right now, pretty happy with where it's at. I'm just gonna let it dry out and then get it stashed away. And tomorrow we're gonna start laying some base coat on that. Get it starting to look like the drift car. We might put clear down tomorrow. Just kind of depends on what else I have going on this weekend. So for here, I'm gonna shut the camera off and I'll see you guys tomorrow. It's the next day. I'm getting ready to paint. I'm just prepping the garage, and this time I went a little bit crazier and built a whole ass like booth with plastic. I'm hoping it holds up, but right now I'm about to jump in. I'm gonna just clean the panel, make sure that it's nice and dry and it doesn't have like dust all over it, and then we're gonna start laying base coat and clear today. So we should be able to jump to it pretty quick since I've gotten most of the prep done. I'm just gonna get things cleaned up, some gloves on, mask on, and then we're gonna get started.
All right, let's start painting.
All right, well, my phone overheated, so I stopped recording. I'll show you guys where I'm at right now. I've gotten my third coat done, and so far, it's not looking too bad. Now, because of the edges around the outside of the sunroof, what I'm doing is I'm just kind of like rotating it 180 degrees every pass, so that way I can try and get the edges around the outside of the plug covered, at least enough that there's going to be a good adhesion and the color's going to lay down evenly. We'll see how that ends up. This is my first time painting one of these, but my first time painting everything this year, so feeling pretty confident. We're just gonna keep going. I can't take my phone in the booth because it's pretty hot in there now that the air's closed off, but I'm gonna lay a couple other coats and then we'll see where we're at. All right, well, we got the fifth coat down. I'm sorry I haven't been filming in there. It's just the phone gets overheated and it shuts off in like a minute or so, but I'll show you guys where we're at. So we're not looking too bad. There's a little bit of striping, but as long as it looks flat and smooth and glossy on the roof and not like rough and patchy, I think I'll be happy. I gotta work with what I have right now, and for some reason it might be just the temperature in the booth, but it's kind of looking like it's a little bit rough. I'm just gonna let it go, let it sit. I've learned my lesson before, not to panic, just to lay the primer down and let it lie. I mean, the color looks even, it's just from certain angles. It's kind of like, you can see a few spots where there's some different shades, but ultimately that's how the front bumper is. This is on the roof. It's not like it's the first thing that people are gonna look at. So really, I just wanna get it in the ballpark, and then we can get it thrown on the car. Again, this is more to shed weight. We're not building a show car. If it's a 30-footer, it's good to me because most of the time people are going to be looking at it while it's out on track. So I'm going to give it another 15-20 minutes to flash, and then we're going to start laying the clear coat down, and that should start going by pretty quick. So rock on. All right, well, I got the booth taken down. The sunroof panel is right in front of me. It's certainly not my best work, but it's not my worst. There's a pretty gnarly run right there. So we'll have to wet sand that. It's a little rough, a little tiger stripey, but honestly it's gonna be on the top of the car, so this is about what you're gonna see from a distance. I don't think it's too bad. I think it's good enough to put on the roof of a drift car that most people are only gonna see from 20, 30 feet, if not more. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of clean up the garage a little bit. Wet that, at least dry to touch, which should be done in a couple hours. And then we'll go ahead and move it somewhere safer for it to cure. And then once it's cured, I'm gonna have to just wet sand that run out and buff it. It's a little rough. I think temperatures or conditions just aren't perfect, but I think it's good enough. All right, well, it's been an hour and a half or so. I got the top of the drift car cleaned up, and then just got the sunroof panel over in the corner, kind of finishing dry. It's dust dry right now. I'm just waiting for it to be dry to touch. You guys can see there are some runs right there. So over this next week after work, I'm going to spend some time and wet sand it, but realistically, doesn't look all that bad. I'm not necessarily like stoked with it, but I'm happy enough that after a wet sand, it should look pretty decent. So I definitely want to wet sand at the very least the areas that it ran, and then just try and smooth it out as much as possible. So that way it's not super obvious, but again, the car is a 30-footer. Looks amazing out on track when the cameras take a photo of it. I can see all the imperfections when I'm up close, but that is what it is. I'm happy enough, so I'm gonna let this dry. It's gonna take 24 hours for it to be fully ready to put on the car. And then I'm probably gonna wait, honestly, 2 days for it to cure up, and then I'll start wet sanding it and getting it looking nice. So that way the event next weekend, car can be at least put together. So that being said, sunroof delete is painted. Not the best, but good enough. Drift car is ready. I have some wires I need to get out of the way for that were for the sunroof. I'm just gonna tuck them up under the dash for now and forget they exist until I pull the dash out for the cage. And yeah, that's today's video. So thanks everybody for tuning by. Thanks everybody for stopping by and tuning in. I appreciate you. I appreciate the love that you guys have been giving the channel. We're not slowing down anytime soon. I'm just trying to catch up. I'm a week behind on videos, so trying to find things to produce. But luckily, this next weekend's an event, so that'll help me kind of resituate, and we'll go from there. So I'm gonna go take a shower, get all this overspray off my body, and I will see you guys in the next one. Everybody stay easy, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, peace.
Get down in the car, one time give it all, bust it open hard, let me see you drop. Get down in the car, one time give it all, bust it open hard, let me see you drop. I fucked up this Russell, baby hustle, but the oh my I fucked up this Russell, baby hustle, but the oh my